Okay, in this video, I'm going to look at how to install the receiver to USB game controller for the PC. And the first thing to do is plug your receiver into the unit, channel 1 being the steering and channel 2 being the throttle, and then plug it into the computer. After a few seconds, it'll self-install itself and then we'll be ready to go. Now, this is Windows 10 that I'm using. Earlier versions of Windows will work just as well. And the way that you find the setup tool is you go to the little search button and then I type in joystick. And one of the things that comes up is set up USB game controllers. So you press that and then this little thing comes up. If you can't find it by searching for it, have a little look in the control panel on Windows. In earlier versions of Windows it might be called something else, but you'll always be able to find a game controller setup. Now this one will come up, Arduino Leonardo, and you could have more than one device if you've got other joysticks, but that's the one that we need to use for our transmitter. So I'm going to go to the properties, and in there it will have the X and Y rotation, and there'll be a settings screen. Now we're going to need to calibrate for the first time we use this. After you've done the calibration, you don't need to do it again. But there is something important that you must do, which is on your transmitter, set the throttle and the steering to normal instead of reverse, and the reason that you do that is because otherwise it won't calibrate correctly. So yeah, the setting, it'll be on all transmitters, you must have it in the throttle being normal rather than reverse, and the same with the steering. The other thing that you must do is if you've got the dual rate set on your steering for reduced steering, you must set that to 100%. And also with the throttle, if you've got a throttle curve or you've got reduced reverse or reduced forward throttle, you must set those to 100%, otherwise it won't calibrate correctly. So now that the transmitter's set and everything is like the default settings, let's click on calibrate and you'll get a little calibration window come up. If I press next, it says leave the D-pad centered, press the button on the controller. So we'll just press next, and now you can see my little thing's moving around. So I'm going to move the throttle all the way up and all the way to the left, and then I'm going to move the throttle all the way up and all the way to the right, and then down to the bottom, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. So I've done the 4 corners, and you can see it's wiggling around just a little touch. That is a standard feature. That's the way that the transmitters work. So now that I've done that, press next again. So we're not going to press the sticks, and then we press next again, and then it says the X rotation. Well, we don't have X rotation on this, so we just press next. We don't have Y rotation either, so now press next again, press on finish, and we're all done. So you can see there, if I move the throttle up, it will go to the top, down to the brakes, turn left, turn right, and of course a combination of the two. So we now know that that's set up and it will work in games like Virtual RC. If you are using Virtual RC, Virtual RC is a little bit strange in that when you actually go upwards, that's braking for some reason on VRC. So what you must now do is go on your transmitter and set the throttle to be reversed. And then when you push forward on the stick, it will go downwards in this window. And when you put the brake on, it will go upwards. Okay? And that will then be tailored for Virtual RC. And that's the same with any game controller. You'll find that going backwards is what is accelerating.